Hello.
Hello.
Done. Right, no. That's an intro. That's the best intro I could think of.
It's the best intro.
Is there any subject that we can't talk about? Except your identity.
Except my identity.
If you were to choose an assumed name, do you ever get asked an assumed name you may select? What would be the most, not your go-to assumed name, what would be your sixth best assumed name?
Oh, do you know?
Mine would be Dirk.
Dirk? That's
D-I-R-K, Dirk.
like Dirk Gently.
Or Dirk Sanchez, yeah.
Oh, okay, I like
what
it.
would be your sixth best assumed name? Not your number one. We're not interested in that.
No, my number one.
Not your go-to place.
Well, so I actually have, I genuinely have a hierarchy of names and identities.
This is what we're after. Okay,
that I
cool.
use,
So
depending on who I'm talking to.
Lose the top three cards.
Okay.
Let's
so
go Bond style. Lose the top three
Okay, so
cards.
losing the top three cards, we get to Nettie.
Nettie, cool.
Because a guy once started calling me Nettie because I'm girl on the net, and he was like, "Oh, I'll call you Nettie," and I was like, "That's really adorable. I will keep that."
I thought it was because you were mysterious like the Loch Ness Monster and it's Nessie, but that's fine.
That
It would have been
better.
cooler.
Yeah,
would have been cooler.
better.
It's sad, but true.
But genuinely, I have like a few names. I think 5 different names that I use for different people, and the name you get given when I introduce myself to you is tells you how much I trust you, basically.
On the basis of the 5.
I have different hierarchies of trust. But on top of that, I get to a certain point where I'm like, I don't really know what name to give, or like people on Twitter who know me a bit, and they're like, oh, what name can I refer to you as? And I will say to them, just pick one. So I've been Gertrude, I've been Maud, I've been like Margaret, like I've been loads of different people. I would just say to people, pick a name, because I don't care. I really don't care. Like, I will reply to whatever name people call me, but for some reason people hate using like Gotten or Girl or G. They want a real name.
Yeah, I think that's true though, because people want to relate to something. And it's a go-to place, rather than a character, a letter or whatever.
Yeah, but interestingly, like when people pick names, they usually go for something a bit weird. Then they'll pick a name that's, they wouldn't pick like a Sarah or a Kate or they pick like a Maud or a Gertrude or something that's less common.
Okay. So if you were to take the name of any celebrity first name and combine it with any celebrity's last name, which would you pick?
Oh, okay. Well, I'm going with Pratt for the surname.
Pratt, okay.
Yeah, Pratt is good.
Pratt.
Yeah, because it means I would probably be married to Chris Pratt, but also it's just a good comedy name. Like, you can be a Pratt and that's fine. Okay.
Helena Pratt.
Yeah, like
there
Helena Bonham Carter. Yeah, Helena Pratt. I quite like that. Because I like the idea that I would look like Helena Bonham Carter, but also be a Pratt and just generally be quite clumsy.
But
and
also
rubbish.
have the ability to train velociraptors. So that's...
Yes.
Which would be a skill.
Oh, yeah.
You could. That's a transferable skill. That would be on top of my CV.
That's true, but I think you're making the fundamental mistake there that everyone made in the Jurassic Park 4 movie. Okay, so you're making the fundamental mistake that you think once you train velociraptors, they will do your bidding. No, you need to be like Chris Pratt. You need to understand that the velociraptors have their own desires and needs, and they're not always going to obey you.
Of course. Thank you for the advance warning. I appreciate that. I'm now going to look out.
Yeah.
And not apply that knowledge.
Yeah. Should you find yourself in a Jurassic Park 4 situation?
Straight Jurassic World. As it's otherwise known as the documentary series Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's good advice. See, look, tons of advice.
You're welcome.
Already, we're 2-3 minutes in. Just throwing advice out there. If you had to eat the same soup every day for a year, which flavour would you choose?
Ooh, I'm going to be really boring and say tomato.
Really?
Yeah,
why
fucking love tomato soup.
Same soup every day is a bit of a chore.
I know, but you know what they say? It's like the opposite of your sexual tastes. The blander your soup tastes, the weirder you are in the bedroom.
So soup, tomato.
I made that up. That's not true.
It's not a real thing.
No.
You should never say that.
It's not a real thing.
Never say I made that up.
But
that was really quite convincing.
Was it? Oh, fuck. Okay, right. I'm going to try and slip in. I'll slip in a few more later on.
So, tomato soup.
I know, boring.
Dead plain.
Well, not dead plain. Like, I would get some bread and toast
some bread.
Toast
You're doing the international hand signal for bread, which is fist open. Spread. It's a roll.
It's a roll, yeah, a roll. No, it'd have to be bread. You toast the bread, and then only a little bit. Toast the bread, dip the bread in, grate some cheese on the top of the tomato soup. So you're basically using bread to fish cheese out of tomato soup.
Welcome to cooking.
It's the only way to serve it.
This is brilliant. Would you, if you got the opportunity to host a Saturday kitchen, now James Martin's left, would you take it on?
Yeah.
With that kind of cookery etiquette.
Yeah, honestly.
Bread to fish out the cheese from the tomato soup. I mean, you must be an expert in the kitchen.
I am, yeah. Don't even get me started on how to use your garlic bread to scoop up the macaroni cheese.
Well, you're a pro.
Basically, using bread to put cheese in my face, that is my specialist subject.
You mainly use bread to shovel cheese, by the sounds of it.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Bread is a functional food item. Yeah. Bread in and of itself is rubbish. Someone I know has got the Paul Hollywood How to Make Bread book, and I was just horrified that there were so many different types of bread, because realistically all that matters is the cheese that you put on the bread.
Right.
But apparently some people give a shit about bread.
So if you were to bring out your own range of cheese, what would it be? I mean, you could have a hybrid cheese. It would be any cheese.
I would. What I would want is cheese from all over the world, all the different types of cheese.
Wow.
The best. You'd have like a really good strong cheddar in there. You'd have a really good paneer. Fucking love paneer. Halloumi. You'd have like one of each of the main staple cheeses.
So that's the phrase, main staple cheeses.
Yeah, and then you would just
have cheeses.
The must-have cheeses, and then you would get rid of any cheese that was too wanky, i.e., brie, fuck off. Stilton, fuck off. Anything made by a goat, fuck right off. Sheep's cheese, no, fuck off.
Sheep's cheese?
No, cheese, keep it simple. Keep it simple. You basically either want squeaky cheese, of which comes in two types, paneer or halloumi, or you want cheddar. And that is about it, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
So would you say you're a cheese Nazi, or?
I would say I'm a cheese.
I'm a cheese.
I'm a cheese gourmand. I'm not a cheese gourmet.
Gourmand.
Yeah, I want a lot of cheese.
You want it now?
Of exactly the right type. Yeah.
Okay. At your disposal any time of day.
Yeah.
Okay. So you would you employ a cheese dispenser? Because people have an entourage, right?
Yeah.
If you're in a position to have an entourage, would one of your, say you get 5 people, right? You've got you and 5 in your entourage.
Yeah, okay.
Let's select. So one's gone, cheese dispenser.
Yeah.
4 left.
Okay. So I've got a cheese dispenser. Someone whose job it was to. I'm going to say control my drinking. Basically, someone who makes drinks for me, but also maintains my sobriety to levels where I don't do anything embarrassing.
So half barman stroke lady, kind of half prefect.
Yes.
Drink prefect.
Yes, definitely. Okay. Oh, and actually, now that you've said prefect, I would also have a man whose job it just was to tell me I've been naughty when I've been naughty and tell me I've been good when I've been good. I've always wanted someone to do that.
Right, so conscious.
Yeah, sort of like a conscious, but in a sexier way.
In a slightly sexier way.
Applied to everything in life. So just like, if I send a really good email.
That was an excellent email. Or would it just be, that was a good email?
It would be...
is it literally just, you've done well there, you've done bad there, good, bad?
Yeah, it would be like good girl or that was bad.
Okay.
Do that again. Just to sort of like, some sort of controlling. that sounds really sick. But yeah, I would like someone to control my life. Yeah, definitely. Okay. One would be a fucking driver.
Gotta have a driver.
/ helicopter flyer.
Pilot.
Can I? Yeah.
No, let's go flyer. Okay. I almost believed it.
Can I combine those into one person?
That's allowed.
Okay.
Multi-skilled.
So, someone to drive any of the vehicles which I want to go around on.
Nice.
That might include.
Would you enjoy being driven around in a tank, for example?
Yes. Okay. I was actually thinking motorbike and sidecar though. I've always quite fancied going in a sidecar.
Kind of style.
Yeah, and I'd have like I'd put a scarf on, so it'd be all brilliant.
You're doing the international sign for a scarf there. That's great.
Shit. Yeah.
Bread, scarf. We're in business.
Okay, so what have I got? I've got a cheese dispenser.
Cheese dispenser.
An alcohol controller.
Alcohol prefect.
Alcohol prefect. Just a general man to say sexy things at me when I do good or bad things.
Yep.
And a person who drives things around.
Pilot stroke driver, which leaves one position in your ultimate entourage. Right.
Okay. I would have. I'm trying to think of the right word for it, right? But basically, someone whose job it is to remember people's names, do introductions, and stop things becoming awkward.
Ooh, that's a very difficult job.
It is.
So, firstly, introductions. Do you struggle with the introduction?
I'm just...
What's the ideal introduction?
Well, the thing is, I'm always really awkward about them, so I'll like come up and be like, hi, and I never know. Like, I go to lots of like, whenever I go to events and stuff, people are like, oh, you should go and meet and network and chat to people. My best friend is phenomenal at it. Like, he will just wander up to people and be like, hello, what's your name? I'm here to do this, chat, 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 chat. I will hide in a corner playing with my phone like, oh, no one will really want to talk to me and I can't cope with it. But like PR people are brilliant. They'll just wander up and be like, hello, my name is PR person. Let me
As if
introduce
it's
you.
their job.
As if it's their job.
That's bizarre.
I would like to have someone like that for me in real life who just does that kind of, look, she's a bit shy and nervous. I'm going to, drag her out and meet people.
Right,
That would be really useful.
So, kind of in a sort of Godfather sort of style, really. Kind of a fixer. Good. Okay, well, that was cleared up. So that's amazing. I'd love an entourage. This is brilliant. How many people would fit inside a standard UK phone box? This is a question which is just baffled the minds of geniuses all over the world, I think.
Do you know, it also, okay, do they have to be all squashed in together, or can you sit people on other people's shoulders?
This is your phone box. How about if you were to fill the phone box, your ultimate phone box filling group of people?
Yeah.
Who would you have in your phone box?
Okay, so I would have me, and
good stuff.
I would also then probably like clone Chris Pratt, so I could
can
have
have
4
him.
Chris Pratts. No, but 4 of them.
Just 4.
Me and 4 Chris Pratts. Is that allowed?
I mean, no.
Oh, what? Do they have to be different people?
Is that technology available?
Okay, so Chris Pratt, Idris
Chris
Elba.
Pratt's in, Elba's in. Good choice.
Who else do I
Standard.
love? Who was the guy? I can't remember his name, but he's fucking amazing.
Sounds good.
He used to be in Hustle, BBC's Hustle. He was like the main guy.
Wow.
And he was also in loads of musical theatre. I can't remember his name.
Okay. Hustle chat.
Adrian Lester.
He's
him.
in.
I love
Okay,
him.
right, so that's 3.
Do they have to be alive?
It would make it stinkier.
Oh right, okay.
But they can be dead.
So people. Well, if he was alive still,
you can kind of compress them, I guess.
if he was alive still, Rick Mail. Given that he's not alive, I will have his obviously like somehow lost son, Greg Davies.
There's not a lot more space.
We can fit 5 of us in.
Greg Davies takes up the space of 2 gentlemen.
We'll tessellate. I can get at least 2 of them to tessellate in me. We'll work it out.
We'll tessellate.
Yeah.
That's very good. Okay, Greg Davies, he's a lovely chap.
I tried to chat him up once.
Really? Have you seen
Yeah.
his pants? They're massive.
Have you seen his pants?
Yeah. Go to the Soho Theatre. He'll be there like twice a week. Guarantee it. If he's in London, that's where he hangs
Okay.
out.
See, I met him on, the Tattershall Castle near Embankment. He did a show there, and I went up to him afterwards, and I was like, I really loved your show. You're amazing. Can I buy you a drink? And he just looked down, and he clearly already had like a totally full pint in front of him, and he went, "No, I'm all right, thanks." And I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll leave you alone." But I mean, if I hadn't totally fucked up that line, I think I was
had one of your
definitely in
entourage.
If I'd had my chat up entourage, or if I'd had my cheese dispenser, and I could have been like,
And your
sorry
bar
about that.
person.
Yeah, I'd be like, sorry about that. You've already got a pint. Would you like some delicious cheese?
How could he possibly resist?
I bet he wouldn't. I bet Greg Davies would love a bit of cheese.
Which cheese would Greg Davies like? Which sort of cheese do you think he's into?
I feel like he'd probably be a cheddar man. Like
Cheddar,
he is
nice,
a no
solid.
nonsense. Yeah, no nonsense guy.
Not mess around with cheese.
Yeah, but I think also Greg Davies is, I think, deep down he's quite, maybe not even that deep down, but I think he's quite filthy, because I heard him on the Richard Herring podcast, where Richard Herring reads out like sexual fantasies people have had about comedians, and Greg Davies, pretty much everyone, he was like, yep, I'd do that, yeah, I'd be up for that.
I mean, I get the feeling Greg Davies is grateful for any attention, but as a
I bet he gets absolutely shitloads of comedy groupies, yeah.
Of course. Big time. How would you feel about that, being in the comedy game? Do you think you can deal with that pressure?
I would, if I were funny, I would fucking love it. If I were funny, that would be what I would be doing now, and I would be like tearing my hair out to try and become a successful comedian.
Okay.
Thing is, I'm not funny enough, so I just go to a lot of stand-up, look at all the people on stage and go, fuck me, I wish I could be you.
Oh. So who do you admire in the stand-up well? Who floats your boat?
Do you know what? I hate answering this question in like interviews, because I will never ever remember.
Failed.
I know, but I will never ever remember all
That
the
doesn't
people
matter.
that I really like. I saw an incredible stand-up the other day, whose name I can't remember. She's from Kenya and she's incredible.
Sounds like Nyambi McGrath.
Sounds like who?
Jambi?
Yes. What's her name?
Jambi McGrath.
Yes.
know Jambi.
She's brilliant. I saw her the other day and I was just like, came out like, fuck me. I've never been through so many emotions and been laughing at the same time. Like, she's incredible. So yeah, okay.
Jambi's cool. Yeah.
I'm just gonna say her now, because otherwise, if I give any other recommendations, it will take away from my recommendation of her. But she's great.
So comedian would be like a sort of ultimate fantasy kind of job. You see yourself extrovert. You can go on stage, deal with stage pressure.
No, I really like. I cannot cope with it. I'm so anxious. I used to do like sort of improv type stuff. And I was apparently quite good, according to the other people in my group who fucking would say that. But like, I get so nervous. I can't speak. I'm like, my throat closes up. I'm massively anxious. Like, one-on-one in a lovely bar environment like we are now, I can speak. But if this were being broadcast live, you'd hear it in my voice, and I'd be like, I'm so I'm
warbler.
Shit.
I like
the warbler. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. So, but you'd go for it if you were had the opportunity and it was a different world.
Yeah,
it was a different version of you.
If I woke up tomorrow and I was a funny fucker, I would give it a bash.
Absolutely get out there and do it.
Yeah, it would be amazing. Also, comedy groupies. I bet I'd get loads of comedy groupie cock, and that would be quite fun.
I think it would be quite varied.
Yeah, maybe it would be.
I think it would.
Yeah, but it would be brilliant, and I'd get to tour the country, shagging people and making them laugh. What more could anyone possibly want?
So what would you name the tour?
Shagging people and making them laugh.
Shagging people and making them laugh.
Yeah.
Live.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you could replace someone that invented something, which inventor would you replace? That's a big question.
It is a big question. And do you know what? The difficulty is, like, invention-wise, I sort of think I don't care. Maybe, like, Pythagoras' theorem, because it's named after him. Maybe I'd pick something that was named after me, like, narcissistically.
Yeah, and
I like the idea
that... Spectrum C1, the iPod, things like that.
Yeah.
Johnny iPod, obviously.
Yeah. No, it was Steve iPod, wasn't it?
Johnny iPod.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right, okay.
That's his real name. Not a lot of people know that.
Johnny iPod.
Yeah, that's his actual name. That's true. There we go. See, I knew I could get one in. Of course. Right. So Pythagoras, you would have a theory.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not a theory, a theorem.
A theorem.
Yeah.
Proven.
Everything else is a theory. Pythagoras is, for some reason, is a theorem.
Totally works.
Yeah. It's not like the theorem of evolution, but. Yeah, I don't know though, that's boring, isn't it? Maybe I should pick something
Geometry's not sexy.
It's not. I should pick something fucking weirder. The real doll. I'm obsessed at the moment with real dolls and the guy who's putting AI. Yeah, so originally real dolls were just sex dolls, so no like machinery, no like computing involved inside them. They were just sex dolls, but very, very beautifully made and very well done and like realistic type fashion, that kind of thing.
It's very ornate, would you say? I don't know, that's probably not the right way to describe them, but delicately sort of painted and...
It's the difference between...
Sort of fragile and precious kind of things.
Yeah, it's the difference between, like, if normal sex dolls is someone making a balloon animal in the shape of a woman, a real doll was someone, like, properly sculpting a woman out of, like, marble or whatever. Or clay, yeah.
The go-to.
So very detailed women. So I would quite like to maybe be the person who runs that company.
Right.
Because they're doing loads of really interesting things, like putting artificial intelligence in them and trying to not necessarily work out how to make a robot conscious, but how to make something that can so effectively mimic human consciousness that it will give you a boner.
So a sexy Terminator.
A sexy Terminator, yeah.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
But, okay, one of the reasons I find it really fascinating, this is a bit of a weird thing, but...
Oh no, carry on.
Bear with me, stick with me.
When we had the spinach earlier. So
A spinach. So,
can't get worse than that.
There was an experiment done, I can't remember the name of the guy, but basically it was an experiment done a long time ago about turkeys and sexual response in turkeys. And he wanted to know, so the male turkey finds the female turkey, he looks at her, he goes, "Oh, what a sexy female turkey," and then he goes and humps her.
Right.
And there was a scientist who did an experiment to see what is the least something can look like a female turkey and still have a male turkey try and fuck it.
Wow.
So
That's science.
That is science, and my favourite kind of science, because it's like, oh, what can I make, and still have someone want to fuck it. So he basically took a model of a female turkey, or like a dead stuffed female turkey, and gradually sort of removed more and more bits of it to try and find out what bits the male turkey would find sexy. So he'd chop off its legs, like its wings, and the male turkey would still go and hump it. Chopped off the head, so had like body of a turkey and no head, and the male turkey was not interested, was not aroused.
Big no.
Then put a head, female turkey head, on a stick, and the male turkey was still aroused and would still fuck the female turkey head on the stick. Yeah, stick head. So it's effectively what this guy discovered. I'm assuming it was a guy. Anyway,
about right.
What this scientist discovered is that for turkeys, their sexual interest requires the head of the female. That is where they focus their sexual attention, because when they're mounted on top of the female and their wings are covering her, all they see is her head poking out in front of them. So that's where their sexual response is directed. I've gone off on a massive tangent.
No, this is awesome.
But basically, the reason why I think like robotics and AI is really interesting is because I think, as humans, we empathise with things that are clearly not in any way human or feeling or conscious. We simply cannot help having empathy or lust or desire for something. So when it comes to like the Real Doll Corporation making sex robots, they, I don't think, need to make anything particularly complicated in order that people fall in love with them. Their robots don't need to be particularly complicated. Their robots don't need to be erudite or witty or able to have a conversation. They just need to look like humans and say hello and smile. And I find it really interesting, like exploring those boundaries of the turkey one obviously is purely about sex, whereas this is more like sex and emotion and loads of things sort of tied up in that.
So,
sorry, that was a big old ramble, but
it was fantastic.
I'm obsessed with it at the moment.
So, what do you think the nearest to a person would be for average person?
Honestly, for me, I don't. It depends on what you mean. In order to have sex with something,
If you apply the turkey-based theory.
The same turkey-based theory. Well, I mean, we have for years been using disembodied cocks to wank with. Like, I could come from using a dildo, which is literally just the cock bit, basically. Or I think it depends on the person. Like, for a long time, we have effectively been using like human substitutes, like. The fleshlight is a kind of common male sex toy, looks like a vagina or a bum or a mouth, depending on what takes your fancy. And, you know, that is the minimum most people need to get them off. Yeah, it's the same. And so we laugh at the poor hapless turkey who's fucking a head on a stick. Stickhead. Sexy stickhead. Stickhead,
obviously.
But we can mock this male turkey for fucking a head on a stick. We will happily get sexual.
Well, there's no difference to having sex with a stick, though, is it?
Yeah, but it's also like I sort of think, why the fuck not? Like it's people are quite judgy about it. Like the idea that you would have any kind of sexual contact with a person or an object that you didn't super love and there was no kind of connection with. It's like, oh, fuck off. Just rub it against your bits and good things happen and it's fine. Yeah.
So that's a massive industry, though, right?
Yeah, it's huge and it's getting bigger as well. Like, and I think it's kind of as it grows. I think we'll probably see, like, in the next 5 years, we'll see some fucking amazing stuff happening in like sex tech.
How far do you think it'll go?
With sex robots?
Yeah. What's the future?
Oh, I think people will constantly be driven to make ones that are more and more and more and more human-like and humanoid. I think it's probably reasonable to say that at some point they will make robots that are a decent-ish mimicry of humans. When it comes to consciousness, I think that's kind of different. So I think it's more than possible that at some point we will make a robot that will effectively mimic human behaviour. Whether or not we'll be able to make a conscious robot like Data off Star Trek, where you're genuinely going, oh, that's a person, that's a bit more up in the air.
So who is the sexiest robot?
Good question. Oh, I'm so glad you asked. Okay. I did a top 5 of this ages ago on a blog post I wrote. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I can't remember who they all were, but so there's Jude Law, obviously, in AI.
He's obviously a robot. I mean, and no one can. That's just facts. Jude Law is a robot.
No, but he plays the robot.
Jude Law's an android. It's fine.
Is he?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Jude Law.
Okay. Fair enough.
Jude Law was a robot. Jude Law.
The robot
Ding.
law.
Next.
Crichton has got to be fucking in
Beautiful choice. Sorry about pointing my pen right in your face there, but I am on board. Okay.
I went to go and see Red Dwarf recording recently. It was amazing.
Really? Amazing.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Bender? Futurama.
Okay,
He'd be
okay.
give you a good time.
Yeah, he'd be okay for dirty weekend. Dirty weekend. To be honest, I'm not a massive fan of Futurama, but I do like Ben. Yeah, he'd be dirty. He'd be dirty. Fine. He can be on the list.
Oh no, I'm just pitching.
No. I think you're right. That's fine.
I think the BB-8 would be quite useful. But, that depends on what you're into.
Oh no, fucking beeping. Yeah, no robot that fucking beeps. They can fuck right
beeper.
off.
That's a good criteria immediately.
Yeah.
You've got to remove the traditional beeping-based robots.
Yeah, no beeping.
So we're talking humanoids, really.
Yeah, it's got to be. I think realistically, it's got to be humanoids. But see, here's the problem, right? In the robot canon, there are so many robots who are deliberately made to be sexy. So look at like the Cylons in Battlestar Galactica. So like I can't remember her name, but blonde Cylon. 12. Is she 12? No, she's not 12. I don't know, 3 or whoever she is.
Yes.
Is she?
Yes.
You don't know?
No, I don't know.
No, you don't know.
I was doing my don't know,
6.
but I'm agreeing.
Maybe she's 6.
Yes.
Anyway, there are quite a few Cylons in Battlestar Galactica who are there to be beautiful. They don't count. They surely can't count because they're not robotic enough. They are frequently mistaken for humans, so they don't count.
Okay,
we can't have those in our sexiest robots. Yeah, Crichton wouldn't be, but Crichton would be lovable. Crichton would make you a fucking amazing breakfast the next morning, wouldn't he?
Oh, he would, and dinner.
Yeah.
I think Crichton would be awesome. I mean, Crichton, for me, is and sits above Jude Law in almost everything ever.
Okay. I mean, I think, to be honest, though, picture Crichton's head. Picture Crichton's head in your mind.
Crichton's beautifully sculpted
I'm
angular
picturing
head. A version that's made out of mashed potato at the moment. But
now, see, next to his beautifully sculpted, angular, sharp head, picture what his penis might look like.
Hey, I think it's detachable.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as long as with the proviso that you could attach him with a penis that was not going to cause you internal damage.
His knackers would be like the prize in the Crystal Maze. It would be fantastic. What's the worst thing you've said to someone on Twitter?
Oh, God.
What's the single most offensive thing you've done?
Oh, God, loads of things. I think my worst... Oh, God, no, this is really horrible.
That's why we can balance with the top 3 nicest things.
Okay, the first thing that springs to mind... This is not funny. This is not like comedy. But I wrote a thing ages ago. I was really fucked off with... at festivals now, they have the female urinals.
Yes.
Where they give women a cardboard tube to piss through into a trough. Spoiler alert, it doesn't fucking work because that is not how vaginas work. That is someone who's got a dick has gone into a festival and gone, oh, women queue for longer for the toilet, so why don't we make them piss like men? That will work. No, it fucking won't work.
Chip cone, that's the answer.
Yeah, chip cone.
It's not the answer.
Women, and basically I wrote this blog post that used the sentence, women don't have dicks, and someone came back to me on Twitter and was like, that's actually really transphobic, and I was like, fuck. That genuinely hadn't occurred to me. That was the first time anyone had ever called me on the whole, talking about genitals and gender thing. And I was like, fuck, you're 100% right. Yeah, shit.
But that brings an interesting point out because, you've got freedom of writing as a creative and freedom of, anything. You can put down anything you want into this medium.
Oh, yeah.
Anything that you think is perfectly acceptable to write. But to what point?
Oh, yeah,
and do you have to think, oh, no, I'm offending X, Y, and Z person, or so-and-so might not know this? I mean, surely that's an extremely restrictive world to live in.
Oh, well, yeah, no, bollocks. No, it's a much better world. It's a much better world and a much bigger world. So when I first started blogging, loads of that stuff wouldn't have occurred to me. And my blog posts were quite narrow-minded and probably not as interesting and probably very samey with other people's blog posts and stuff. Now that I'm more aware of this, I read through blog posts 3 or 4 times going, okay, well, what about this? Have I thought about this? Trying to kind of think about the different perspectives. Sure, no one's got a right to turn around and say, you can't say that or you can't use that word. But at the same time, I think it makes my writing better to think about that stuff. And I think it's makes the world a better place. There are lots of people who complain about censorship and I'm being shut down. It's you're not being shut down. Usually what happens is someone has just come up to you and said, don't you think that might be a bit of a shitty thing to say? And they've gone, oh God, stop censoring me. And it's well, no one's censoring you. They're just saying that might be a shitty thing to say. You can either take that on board and agree with them, or you can disagree with them, or you can have a think about it. I don't know. I know I sound really wishy-washy on this,
No,
but
that must
I
be the
think
most
it's really
interesting
valuable
thing
to have
about
that
doing what
kind
you
of...
do. It must be the most interesting thing is because you can generate opinion.
Yeah,
And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with generating opinion.
Yeah, and it's also, like, it's really valuable. Like, I have learned so much, particularly in the last 2 years when I've been kind of paying more attention and reading lots of other people's blogs as well. Like, my opinions now are quite different to what they were before because people come and teach me things and will say, do you know what, that's not acceptable and here's why. And I'll go, well, okay, I probably wouldn't use the words not acceptable, but I totally understand where they're coming from and it makes me think about stuff that I wouldn't have known about before, basically.
So do you think that within sort of, I guess, for want of a better word, it's a kind of peer group, writers similar to yourself, do you think you live within that same bubble, or some people just don't pay any attention to it? Because it kind of makes a clear sort of difference between intelligent writing and then just whacking anything down on a piece of paper.
Yeah, I think there are a lot of bloggers, I won't name names, but there are some bloggers who I follow, usually like dating type bloggers, who are still talking about the same stuff that I would have thought we'd have got over years ago. So people saying, particularly like female dating bloggers who'll say, well, actually, I know it's not the done thing now, we have to be feminist and we shouldn't say men should pay for dates, but actually I think men should pay for dates. And I follow quite a few bloggers like that, and I just think, for fuck's sake, like, if you wanted to write this article, I could chuck a rock in any bar in London and hit 5 dating bloggers. Or a car. I could smash my car near anything.
Microwave, it's fine.
Yeah, and hit like 5 dating bloggers who could write me that same article. I could churn you out that same fucking article about, oh, actually, it's quite nice when men pay for dates. Like, be interesting and be unique. And actually, a lot of the genuinely interesting stuff is in areas that people haven't really done to death yet. So, like, talking about, you know, say, gendered expectations when you're paying for dates versus talking about where you take people on dates and whether or not, like, political implications of, say, taking someone to go and see a rom-com on your first date versus taking someone to go to, like, a punk gig or, you know, all that kind of stuff. There's loads of interesting shit you can talk about. And I think, I don't know, I sort of hope that, like, not the market, but like consumers in terms of what they read will weed out the sort of boring fucking listicles of like top 10 things a man should do on a date. Or
so who do you think is pushing the boundaries?
Fuck, that's really difficult. So I really like Stavers on Twitter, who is very radical and lefty and talks about loads of brilliant stuff, and she's a very angry feminist. Like, she writes, so her blog is called like Another Angry Woman, and she writes a lot about gender and politics, and she rubs people up the wrong way. I have good friends who love her, and I have good friends who cannot stand her. And I think that's really important to have someone who can stamp into a debate and go, fuck you, I think this, and it helps people kind of work out what they're thinking. Who else is good? There are loads of people who are brilliant. I really like... I'm too pissed now to like come out with loads of names. And also, do you know, I hate giving lists because as soon as I give a list...
You don't have to.
Some people will be sad that they're not on the list.
Give them a colour.
Give them a colour, yeah.
Just say, yeah, the red guy is really good. The blue one's brilliant.
Oh, it's really hard though, because basically I love like loads. I read quite a broad spectrum of writers. So like I really love Dean Burnett at The Guardian, who writes like fun science.
Where is a place that they all would coexist? You know?
On my Twitter feed, BuzzFeed. Actually, there's loads of really brilliant people who write for BuzzFeed at the moment. Bim, who writes for Bim Adewumi, who writes for BuzzFeed, is brilliant. The Debrief, there are loads of good writers at The Debrief where I write, and particularly a lot of like women who have opinions, which obviously I like as well.
Women with opinions, that's good.
Women with opinions are good.
So talk to me about the patriarchy.
Right. Bloody patriarchy.
Those guys or girls.
Yeah, so, okay, patriarchy. Here's my current thing about the patriarchy. I'm going to assume
at the moment thing.
I'm going to assume that people listening to this podcast will know what the patriarchy is, right?
I don't know if that's the best place to start.
Okay, let's start at the very base.
What's your definition of the patriarchy?
My definition of the patriarchy is a system under which we live, which we both benefit from and are fucked over by, and we also reinforce. And I say we very deliberately because I've spoken to a lot of men on the internet, hashtag not all men on the internet, but quite a lot of the men on the internet that I've spoken to, when you use the word patriarchy, we'll take it as a personal insult. Like, oh, you said patriarchy, but I don't do that. But I don't oppress women, and I have never deliberately oppressed a woman. And I'm like, that's really interesting, because I think the idea we have of patriarchy, or the idea maybe a lot of people have of patriarchy, is that it's like a bunch of guys all got together and sat in a room and went, ooh, those women, eh? Ooh, let's come up with some traps and tricks to...
Some sort of secret society.
Yeah. Let's build a ceiling made of glass that they can't get through. Ha! And it's like, well, that's not really what the patriarchy is. Like, the patriarchy, we all feed into the patriarchy. We all reinforce the patriarchy. Like, when you said...
Bottom cider, it's a bit of a girly trick.
It's a bit of a girly trick.
You fell into a classic patriarchal trap.
You fell into a classic patriarchal trap. And I did not immediately call you out on it and go, listen up, how dare you call that a girly drink?
Were you tempted?
Well, I did when I came back from the loo.
Instantly, and I was expecting.
Yeah, well, very gently though, because I recognise. Yeah, I recognise that this is not you using patriarchy as a weapon. This is just that patriarchy is
out there on my shoulders, on all of our shoulders.
It's literally
looking over
right
our
here
shoulders.
in this room with us.
What does patriarchy look like?
Okay. Immediately, that sounds like a ridiculous question, but as soon as you said it,
it made absolute sense.
Yeah, it made absolute sense. I can picture it. I think patriarchy looks a bit. I would like to see, it's like in a sci-fi type environment. It would look a bit like a fog, like a mist, a low-level ground mist that we're all walking through all the time, and sometimes it becomes thicker and we get caught on it a bit. But none of us ever notice it's there. None of us ever acknowledge it. So imagine London, right, but with mist about a foot off the floor.
Right, as opposed to smog in the air.
As opposed to smog in the air. And it affects you, but you don't really notice it, you don't really see it, and sometimes it affects you more and sometimes it affects you less. That's a good patriarchy metaphor, but I am third pint in, yeah.
Good job, that's a third pint theory.
Yeah.
Or theorem, perhaps.
Theorem. Oh, maybe that's the theorem I want to become famous for.
It's been invented.
Patriarchy mist.
See, that's an again, like I say, it's an interesting theory. That'll do. That's a hybrid of the two. Do you think you could can it and sell it?
My theorem?
Or could you?
Or the patriarchy.
No,
right.
Or the vaporized patriarchy. Could you potentially capture it and remove it?
No.
Will it always exist? Does it have to exist?
Well, okay, the thing is, I think there will always be oppression in various different forms. So could you take the patriarchy away? I think, okay, here's what would be interesting, right? Let's say there was a machine that was generating the patriarchy.
The patriarchy generation machine, right?
Yeah, and you could switch it off, and then tomorrow morning everyone would wake up and there would be, none of the results of patriarchy would be here. It would be a very, very, very different world, and you would wake up tomorrow and the whole world would look completely different. And
you wouldn't less fog for a start.
There'd be less fog, yeah. But you wouldn't really understand why. Like, I think when you, patriarchy is difficult to pin down because often it is just in our behaviours. It's not like, I think the word itself kind of implies there are some men above, holding us all down, and if you killed all those men or something, they would all go away. It's like, no, that's not really it. Because I feed into patriarchy. I notice myself, particularly when I'm interacting with friends who have young children, interacting with their children, they're babies sometimes. I recognise myself saying, "Oh, aren't you a big strong boy?" Or "Aren't you a beautiful girl?" And I'm like, "Oh fuck, wait a minute, that's weird."
Yeah.
People genuinely automatically react differently to men and women. I relate differently to men versus women. I don't have as many women friends as I have men friends, and again, 5 years ago, I'd have said, I just like men more, women annoy me. Whereas now I'm like, no, I have unexamined prejudice about the kind of people that I interact with. So yeah, again, that's not really a funny bit. That's more
serious
politics.
If the book was to turn into either a 6-part TV series,
okay,
or a movie, one-off, what would you pick?
Oh, fuck, do you know, it really massively depends on who's going to be in it, what the tone is.
Okay, well, I mean, the 6-parter lends towards maybe a bit more development.
Yeah.
But the 90-minute one-off special, straight in.
Yeah, the thing is,
to the deep end.
If it's going to be successful either way, you're going to make more money off a movie than a TV series. Okay. So money-wise, I would go movie. But in terms of character development and being interesting, I would rather if someone were to make anything of my life, I feel like it would be much better being a 6-part sitcom than a fucking blockbuster movie, because I'm not a blockbuster movie. Like, I'm just a dickhead who doesn't really know what they're doing. Like, I am more a sort of sitcom twat who sort of bumbles through shit than I am a fucking, I don't know, Christian Grey millionaire with a helicopter. Oh, I got the most amazing review earlier on this week. Amazing review. It was a mediocre review of my book in the Evening Standard. But
I had a little read, yeah.
Oh, but it was fucking. I was so delighted with that review. And my other half was like, "Are you sure? Are you happy with it?" Because it's like it's sort of middling review. He's like, some bits are amazing and some bits are really shit. But one of the things he said was, he compared it to 50 Shades. He was like, well, Christian Grey's got a helicopter, whereas Mark, the guy in my book, has an Xbox. And I was just like, yeah, that's brilliant. Because most people don't have helicopters. Most people, the best they can hope for is a fucking Xbox. And that's what my book is like, and that's what my sex is like. You know, if the super amazing, like, intricate BDSM sex is a helicopter, mine is a fucking Xbox that you're like, oh, we'll play this because we're pissed on a Saturday night and that's fun.
Smash some buttons.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Smash up some plants.
So where do we find you and the book, the publication? Where do we go? How do we pitch it? How do we find it?
How do we find it? So if you want to find my book, it will be available in all good bookshops.
All good bookshops. I love that as a phrase.
I know.
That does imply there are some shit bookshops.
Yeah, that's people's way of saying you might not find it in every single bookshop. But yeah, so no, I know that WH Smith have bought a lot, so by the end of the month.
That's good.
Yeah,
good.
There should be some like in Smiths and like that kind of thing, but also obviously on Amazon, girlonthenet.com/books. You can find my latest book. I'm so rubbish at this publicity thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
But also, I have to I'm going to release a chapter of it on my website, like when the book comes out on Thursday. So there'll be a chapter of it on my website. You can read it, and if you think it's awesome, buy the book. If you think it's shit, definitely don't buy the books.
And what's next?
Oh, fuck. Oh, okay, well.
In an ideal world and in an actual world?
Okay, so in the actual world, well, I mean, in an ideal world, my book sells loads of books, and I have got a really fun idea for a novel in my head. It's a bit a bit like, oh no, I'm not even going to try and describe it because I'll do it badly because I'm pissed. But basically, I've got an idea for a novel that's about relationships and love, and either, if my current book does really well, I will write that novel and it will be quite sexy. If my current book doesn't do very well, I will write that novel more like literary fiction, and I will publish it under my real name, and so no one will know who I am. But I will publish it because I have lots of family members who are like, we'd love to read your book, but obviously you've told us we can't because it's got your cunt in it. So, can I say cunt? I say cunt, sorry.
You have?
You can bleep it,
So if you were to give aspiring writers, blog or otherwise, a top tip or tips, what would it be?
So my first tip would be start writing immediately. Like
Good.
Now, start writing now. Even if it's shit, start writing now. Most of the stuff I've written, like when I started blogging, most of the stuff I wrote was rubbish. And I look back at it now and cringe. However, I started writing it, and particularly with the web, you start writing stuff now, even if it's shit, you will start getting traffic and you will build it. There is no point sitting in a cafe with your fucking MacBook telling people you're a writer if you haven't published anything. You now have routes to publication that mean it will take you 5 seconds to get something published online. Even if it's a tweet, just keep writing stuff and accept that most of it will be shit, and then you kind of hone it, and then eventually you write a book and just put the good bits in.
How do you maintain resilience in writing?
Oh, what, like when people slag my stuff off?
Not you necessarily, but as a writer.
Yeah. Okay, if I was a proper writer, I would say, oh, well, you know, like, just don't read your reviews, or like, oh, be aware that you get positive reviews too. But I'm not really a real writer. I'm going to tell you, honestly, you don't ever get resilience. It's fucking horrible and miserable, and you can put your heart and soul into something and think it's the best thing you've ever done, and 10 people can email you saying this was amazing, and if one person says I didn't like this, it will gut you for a week. And that's really horrible, but you know, I feel like maybe I'm just really sensitive about it, but yeah, it's really hard.
It's personal.
Yeah,
so it will be sensitive. It's okay.
Yeah, it is personal. And to be honest, I think it's probably hard, like, because the kind of stuff I write is like really intimate and sexual and personal, and I'm talking about, like, particularly in my latest book, obviously there's a lot of like sex and filth, but there's like mental health stuff as well, and things that I genuinely believe passionately. If someone says, I don't like that, yeah, it cuts you. Like, to a certain extent, I always just think, well, not everyone's going to like everything, and I have talked myself into believing that it's much better for a book to get polarised, amazing and awful reviews, which is generally what my stuff tends to get. Way better to have that than to have a bunch of 3-star, this was okay. But ultimately, yeah, it's really going to hurt you. Like, there are reviews from my first book from Amazon. One woman said, this wasn't even that sexy. I could write the same in my teenage diary. And I still remember that review, even though 90% of the reviews for that book are really good ones where people loved it, and people write like 1,000 words, this was amazing reviews. It means fuck all in the face of a one-liner that says you're a cunt. So I don't know how to deal with that.
No, it's interesting, but
I drink a lot.
Fair play. I was going to ask stuff about guests and so forth, because you do get a lot of guests.
Yes, I do.
Blog. And I think there's a lot of positives in that.
Oh, I love that. That is genuinely one of my favourite things about guest blogging. Particularly when people email to say, so I've got this fetish and I think I'm a bit weird. So like I had a guy email me and was like, I've got this fetish, I think I'm a bit weird, but like I want to talk to you about like the fetish and the subculture. And it was about, he had a fetish for giants and giantesses. And the thing I love about guest blogging is people come to me with the weirdest things and they feel comfortable telling me. And I think that's one of the things I've gained loads from.
It's quite empowering as well, really.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Like, I think I am one of the bloggers that people are most comfortable coming to and saying, oh, hey, I think this is weird, but I'd like to talk about it. And I think maybe it's partly just because I was lucky in the early days. I got a few guest bloggers who were talking about really unusual things. I had a fantastic guest blogger who wrote to me about her fetish for Rocket Raccoon in
that's quite recent, comics.
Yeah. And she just writes in this beautiful way. And one of the things I love about like fetish and kink is when someone who really loves it writes about it, even if you don't share that kink, you can go, oh God, I totally see what you mean. Like, I can totally see where you're coming from. And so she wrote this amazing blog where it was like, I fancy him now that you've talked about him like this. He sounds so hot. So yeah, that's one of the nicest things about blogging is when people are like, oh, I've got a weird thing and you're the one I want to tell about it. It feels it's quite touching.
Yeah, well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Correct answer.
It was good fun. I had fun.
I do hope so. Fantastic. Well, the Twitter.
Twitter at Girl on the Net.
Website?
girlonthenet.com.
Book?
How a Bad Girl Fell in Love.
Correct answer. Fantastic. Oh, brilliant. Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
Thank you.